What is up, denizens of podcast land? I am the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height.
Yes, it's your worst nightmare. It's October. It's scary movie season. It's Halloween time. Sports Frenzy 2.0 is on the air October the 5th, 2022.
Couple of scary movies in the review hopper for the weekend edition, kids.
That is correct. That is correct.
Check that out on Saturday morning.
Yeah, I have a feeling there'll be a couple more coming down the road in October, especially because I know that Dave and I will both be watching Halloween Ends.
Exactly.
In a couple weeks, so we'll have that for you. But
that's the teaser promo for the weekend. Now, football, baby.
Yeah, if you New York people out there listening expect us to fawn all over Aaron Judge first and foremost, we're saving it for multiple reasons. Number one, it's not that goddamn important to us. And number two, it's New York, so we really don't care that much.
Exactly.
That being said, starting off the NFL, we got to talk about the New York Giants. Way to contradict yourself, maestro.
I believe the discussion is about the ineptitude of the Bears.
Yes, the New York Giants beat our Chicago Bears 20-12, dropping the Bears to 2-2, which is still, to me, unfathomable that they are 2-2.
I know, it's frightening.
They are literally the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, thank God I had to work on Sunday, and I had to relegated to keeping up through Gamecast. And by the looks of it, both teams kind of sucked.
Yeah, the Giants, I know the Giants are 3-1 now, and New York fans have that glimmer of hope. But I'm sorry, the one glimmer of hope you got is you've got, I think, a good head coach in Brian Daboll. Outside of that,
he's got nothing.
He's got to wade through the mire, the muck, the mess that was left behind for him. Daniel Jones is not a franchise quarterback.
No.
He's got wide receivers getting injured. He's got wide receivers more concerned with their rap careers. He's got wide receivers who signed big contracts last year who don't want to play or, have little tiny nagging injuries that keep them off the field and then complain because they're not getting enough time, enough snaps.
Yeah, how about you actually practice and show up and put the effort and work in?
This is the kind of situation with both these teams. Watching the Bears, watching the Giants, where you come to appreciate a franchise like the Steelers or the Ravens more because how they're able to turn things over without a lot of conflict. Without a lot of whining and crying and bitching and pissing and moaning.
Because if somebody starts to do that, they're shown the door.
Right. And, of course, you've got two stable head coaches with Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh. I'm sure I'm leaving out a couple. Of course, the jury right now to me is out on the Patriots because
with Belichick and his whole thing without Brady, they are not looking.
I still think Belichick's a very good head coach, but him being in charge of the personnel decisions might be something down the road they need to revisit.
Big time.
But like Dave said, Bears look inept at 2-2. They are, in my opinion, the worst team in the NFL. I don't see you could say maybe Houston. I still think Houston's got a much more promising core. Not by a mile.
No.
But
we're seeing the fallout of two GMs who really didn't know what the hell they were doing in Chicago. And this is the fallout that we kind of expected because you had to bring somebody in who pretty much had to blow everything up and start from scratch. I mean, the salary cap hell they were in, the lack of draft picks they were left with. I mean, it was just a god-awful situation to come into.
But that being said, I don't think Poles has done much to instill confidence in the fan base, at least for 1 year. Now, I don't. No. Here's what I don't like. I don't like hearing, well, they didn't draft Justin Fields. He's not their guy.
I don't care about
Then
that. The guy's talented.
You should have not taken the job.
Exactly.
If you knew coming in, the kid was going into his second year, still had plenty of potential, still had plenty of promise. So I'm not going to look at this through rose-colored glasses. I'm saying Poles took the job because it was probably the only job offered to him. Eberflus took the job because it was probably the only job offered to him. And then you bring in a defensive coach to try to mold a young quarterback, and that never, ever works.
No, it was a recipe for
somebody
disaster.
out there, a Ravens fan, is going, what about John Harbaugh? Well, John Harbaugh's special teams.
That's right. Completely different.
Yes. And Lamar Jackson's looking like he wants his second MVP, and then he wants the big $250, $300 million fully guaranteed contract.
Yeah, but will he be able to lead the team to the playoffs and a Super Bowl appearance? That's what it's going to take. Will he be able to stay healthy for the full season and be able to continue to put up these numbers?
Yeah. And we'll get to the Ravens a little bit more. But to wrap up with the Bears, I just don't see who they can beat on this schedule the rest of the year. They beat the Texans. We figured they'd be able to do that. That was a home game. The 49ers thing was just a fluke.
Yeah, that was a weather disaster.
Trey Lance. Now we see how the 49ers look with Jimmy G back in charge. As much as they hate him, as much as Kyle Shanahan seems to despise him, the guy does nothing but win. Now, with a little help from the defense.
A lot of help from the defense.
But I just don't see the Bears winning another game. And don't tell me they're going to beat the Lions, because right now the Lions, even though they're 1-3, put up 40 points a game like it's nothing.
Yeah, that offense is a well-oiled machine, but they just have no defense.
Well, even with injuries, that was the thing. Even last week, no DeAndre Swift, no Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they still were putting up points back and forth.
Yeah, their backup running back looked just as good.
Right.
And thank God I picked him up off the waiver wire.
There's no way the Bears beat the Lions. I'm sorry, no way. Unless they have even, if Jared Goff goes down, maybe.
Maybe that would be about
I never thought I would say that ever again in my life. But Jared Goff, this system works for him.
It does. He seems to have found a role there. They want him there. I don't know what the hell the fallout was with McVay.
Yeah, because now after watching the Monday night debacle, as we just talked about with the 49ers and that defense.
Maybe McVay just doesn't know what the hell to do with the quarterback.
That defense just destroyed Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
Allen Robinson has been persona non grata. He has been a non-factor through the first month of the season.
Which is all sad.
Cooper Kupp, Tyler Higbee, or nothing. The running game is non-existent. Cam Akers, you and I both were high on in the preseason for fantasy football.
Awful.
He's been non-existent.
Sub 3 points a week, pretty much.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's once again turned out to be an interesting first month of the football season. Of course, all of our teams, if we want to look at the Bears, Dolphins, Bears, Buccaneers, for me.
Oh, God, the Dolphins are a special case right now.
Of course, they're mired in controversy because of Tua.
Oh, it was back spasms, he said. Yeah, and then he gets sacked again on the back of his head, and he was out. This is not a good situation for that organization.
The hit he took in the Bengals loss, where the Bengals won 27-15 last Thursday night, didn't look that bad.
It didn't.
But when I saw his hand, I thought he had hurt his hand because the fingers were doing really bizarre, stiff, that was
the Nero's.
But then they said that's a response to a neurological trauma.
So I'm sorry he was concussed in that Bills game. He never should have come back out at the half. League was right in firing that independent doctor. He screwed up badly. And the league, the coaching staff, everybody has got to do a better job protecting the players from themselves in these situations. Yes, they all want to be out there, but we've seen time and time again the negative effects. And it has to stop. They have got to take better care of themselves. There's just no excuse for him having gone back out there against the Bills. And then I still think that they didn't do enough to make sure he was ready to go for the Thursday night game.
Well, it's a short week, number one.
Yeah, that was a complete disaster.
And now he's not going to play in week 5 against the Jets.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was out for the next couple weeks.
I've heard people even saying he might not play again this year.
Depending on how bad it is, yeah, that's a very good possibility.
But again, he was interviewed shortly after the Bengals game and said he was fine. He felt fine. I agree with you. We've got to protect the players from themselves. Now, here's one thing I think they need to look into. Now, the NFL, the NFL Players Association are going to tighten up the protocols. They both agree that needs to be done. I think what they need to do, and the owners don't like it.
The owners can suck it.
You and I usually side with the owners, but in this case, I think we're with the players. The owners need to bite the bullet. The roster sizes need to be increased.
They do.
And yes, you're going to have to pay more salary. We all know the salary cap is going to go up because of all these deals with, the direct ticket probably going to Apple, Amazon shelling out a ton of money starting, of course, this season for the Thursday night game. So they've got the money.
The money is
They need a third quarterback on the roster
every week.
So you don't feel like you've got to push Tua or anybody in this situation back in.
Right.
You've got to have a second and third quarterback ready to go. We see this. We just talked about the Giants. They're going over to London right now to play the Packers this coming Sunday.
They're scrambling.
Their second string quarterback isn't going. He's out. Tyrod Taylor. Daniel Jones is hurt. So they've got to scramble.
Super questionable.
They've got to try to work out A.J. McCarron, and I believe Eric Fromm might be the other name. I might be wrong on that, but they're scrambling to work out these guys off other practice squads. We have got to give these teams a third quarterback slot so they don't feel pressured into rushing their starter back.
Exactly.
And again, the owners don't like it because that means they got to pay more for more salaries. But
yeah, but it's going to cost the league and the owners more in the long run with all the health care that they're going to have to provide. So it would be in the best interest to protect them now and save on the long-term care.
And it's not just, I don't want to focus just on the quarterback because, of course.
No, it's everybody.
All the players at every position are susceptible to this. I've heard stories here over the past couple of weeks where there are teams, we've got 5 offensive linemen, right?
Yeah.
Teams carrying 7 total offensive linemen.
Yeah, because you want to rotate through. That's
ridiculous.
Insane.
Because you get 2 injuries, you're done.
Screwed.
You've got no more backups left.
You should have. You should double what you have on both sides of the ball.
We should basically go from 53 to maybe a 63-man roster at least.
Yeah.
And, of course, the owners, oh, my God, where's that money going to come from? It's going to come from all the money you're pocketing from all the media rights and all the advertising.
Guess what? You don't need that much more damn money, you greedy bastards.
In this case, I side with the players.
It doesn't happen often, but in this case, we do. Safety has got to be at the forefront in this day and age.
10 more roster positions. At least 10 more roster positions to make sure you've got enough in terms of the third string quarterback, maybe another receiver,
running back,
more offensive
linemen, more defensive linemen. Hell, your corners you need to have because they take some shots too.
And we're not talking about watering down the quality because the guys that are great are still going to be out there. but we're talking about protecting the integrity of the game where the Giants don't have to play Saquon Barkley
at quarterback
as an emergency quarterback because their first two quarterbacks are out and now they're screwed. Just something to think about, kids. Now, of course, my second team, the Buccaneers, I knew this was coming. I knew the Chiefs. The Chiefs, I underestimated them this year. I figured that AFC West was going to be a dogfight, and it's turned out to be the Chiefs and a bunch of garbage like it normally is. So the Chiefs look like they're back. I still don't know how they lost to the Colts last week, but they did go into Tampa, beat the Buccaneers 41-31. Patrick Mahomes doing those weird, goofy, crazy things he does. Had that one pass where he spun around and basically shot-putted the ball.
It looked like a jump shot.
Yeah. And again, Travis Kelce, if he is not the best tight end of all time, I don't know what to tell you. I still love Kellen Winslow for all you old school fans.
Oh, man.
But Travis Kelce is something else.
He's special. And then Tom Brady's got the personal distractions going now.
Yeah.
Rumors are divorce lawyers have been hired. So I think he finally pissed Giselle off.
I still think it goes back to what we talked about a week or two ago. I still think she would have been okay if he wanted to play football until he couldn't play anymore. That's still, if it's not this year, maybe next year.
Yeah. But the whole
10-year Fox deal, I think she went, all right, screw this. Dude, you don't care enough about being home.
Yeah, you don't care enough about me and the kids to be home. That's it.
Yeah. And I think, again, just speculating here, but I think she's looking at her career and saying, I got maybe 4 or 5 viable years left in the modeling world. And you've got me staying at home with the kids all the time.
Yeah.
I know you can hire a nanny, but I don't think she wants to do that.
No, she wants the kids to have a parental unit there raising them.
So again, I think the Fox deal was the one that really, really broke the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
Or the supermodel's back.
Could have been. Now, I think a lot of it might, and maybe the rumblings there were from that, and that's why he thought, all right, screw it, I'll play another year then. If you're not happy with this, then F it.
Yeah. So we'll see how it impacts him on the
communication is important, kids. And we don't know what kind of agreement they had talked about beforehand either.
Neither one of them are going to be hurting. Let's put it that way.
No.
Their kids are not going to be hurting.
And I think she's brought more in than he did anyway.
I heard this morning the rough numbers in terms of their individual personal wealth. She's still worth a lot more than him.
Yeah.
He's fine.
He's fine. You can pretty much just.
I think it's closer. I think he's closed the gap.
He closed the gap, but not that much.
Maybe they're factoring in that Fox deal. He's closed the gap, but she's still worth more than him.
Yeah. And she's prettier.
All right. Moving on to other NFL news. A couple retirements to discuss.
Yep.
Of course, with the Buccaneers, they were desperate for wide receivers last week, so they brought in Cole Beasley.
That flopped miserably.
So, of course, Cole Beasley says now they got Chris Godwin back.
So I'm done. Bye-bye. Yeah. Retirement City.
And a guy who I think gets no credit. Not saying he was a great quarterback, but I still think he was better than he got credit for.
He was in a bad situation. Blake Bortles could have been really good if he would have been in a better situation.
And we can say that we're going to end up saying that here
about a lot of
10 years about Justin Fields.
Yeah. There's so many guys who have gotten screwed by being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yep.
So
we've got injuries, of course. Javonte Williams, lead running back for the Denver Broncos, out for the season, torn ACL and LCL. Now, you can't foresee injuries, so I'm not going to try to take credit, but I didn't draft this guy in any of my fantasy teams. I didn't want to touch him, but not because I thought he was going to blow his knee out.
Right.
But
just because
just didn't have a good feeling about him, especially because it was kind of a timeshare with Melvin Gordon to begin with.
Yeah.
And now, in a very sneaky, smart move, one of the most underrated backup running backs in the NFL is Latavius Murray. Latavius Murray, Sunday morning, played for the Saints. I think he ran for about 30 or 40 yards for them because Mark Ingram was doing nothing. And I think he got
there's
dinged
a
up.
shock.
He got dinged up, and he was in and out of the game. So, but Murray was on the practice squad. So the Broncos went and said, okay, we'll sign him to the active roster. Screw you. So after they saw what he did over in London.
Yeah.
So now he's going to be Melvin Gordon's backup. I think that's not a huge loss for the Broncos. I think Murray will be fine being able to eventually.
He'll be okay.
60-40 split with Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
He is
That's
a very,
be a solid,
very good backup running back.
Yeah.
Should I mention, with the woeful Indianapolis Colts, the number 1 overall consensus fantasy football pick, Jonathan Taylor will be out for that game. Denver and Indianapolis play in the Mile High City this coming Thursday night.
I did not see that he was out.
He has been ruled out.
Ouch. God, that pretty much, if I would,
Well, Naheem Hines is pretty good backup too. So
he's not bad, but that makes a huge difference on where well.
I don't know
But Russell Wilson has just not been good.
I don't think you should overthink this. Because,
Probably
again,
not.
Hines is a good backup. And Dave, of course, is kind of alluding to what we're going to get to here eventually with our picks.
And yes, there will be spillage.
But on the other hand, what was Jonathan Taylor doing over the first month anyway? He wasn't doing.
He wasn't really there, so it doesn't really matter in the long run.
Yes. So if you're going with the Colts, you're going with the Colts. I don't think Hines for Taylor is that big of a difference at this point in time. Then, of course, the big news coming out of Pittsburgh. We thought it was going to happen. We just didn't know when. Happened actually early on in the game last week. Yep. Kenny Pickett takes over for Mitch Trubisky.
Oh, there's a shock. Not
erratic game, to say the least. But they saw enough from Pickett to say, let's go with the kid. Let's go with the kid.
And why not?
Yep. It's not Mike Tomlin, out of almost all the coaches in the NFL, has job security. Next to maybe Bill Belichick and John Harbaugh, Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin's got the most job security out there. So
yeah, if he
fails miserably this year, but they get a look at Kenny Pickett,
then that's all they need.
They've still got a pretty young core of players. They've already lost TJ Watt for the year. He'll be back next year.
Yeah.
Still young enough. Najee Harris having a bad second year, but he's young enough to bounce back.
Let's use this as a development year.
And again, we talk about how the Bears are failing Justin Fields. Somehow the Steelers, this cycle always seems to work out in their favor. Yeah, they have a bad year every once in a while, like they're having right now. And they'll probably end up having a bad year, won't make the playoffs. But next year they'll bounce right back and they'll be 11-6, 12-5. You watch.
Yeah, there you go.
And then speaking of Pittsburgh, Terry Bradshaw, of course, of the great former Steel Curtain teams, disclosed this week that he's been battling 2 different types of cancer over the past year. He says he's fine. He says he's going to bounce back, be okay, back to full strength soon.
Hopefully.
He's a doofus, but
he's a Super Bowl winning doofus.
And he's in the NFL community, the NFL fans, he's our doofus.
That's right. He's one of those guys that
He's
you
like
just
John
kind of
Madden.
like.
He's like John Madden.
Yeah.
You know, you can criticize him for being a little too silly and stupid, but
And a flip of a coin sent him to Pittsburgh over Chicago.
There you go. And I'll still take him any day over Tony Romo.
Oh, hands down, yes. All right.
Looking back at last week's games real quick, ones that we didn't talk about, ones that we didn't cover. So much for that 2-week run from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
They ran into the best team in the NFL to this point in Philadelphia, the Eagles. Spotted the Jaguars 14 points.
And then said, bye-bye.
Eagles win 29-21. And if I saw the stats correctly on this game, what the hell happened to Trevor Lawrence? He fumbled 4 times?
I
Lost
don't
4
know.
fumbles.
That's not good.
I did not hear anything about him and the whole small hands thing you hear about quarterbacks sometimes.
Yeah. I didn't think he was supposed to be plagued by that.
Yeah, but yeah, I saw he lost 4 fumbles. So the Eagles, my pick to get to the NFC Championship game along with the Rams. Eagles looking better than the Rams right now.
Yes, they are.
Bills come back. They were down against the Ravens in Baltimore. They show some resolve you would expect from our pick to win the Super Bowl.
Yep. So,
and again,
what's wrong with that Ravens defense?
The Ravens have had a brutal start to the season in terms of their schedule. They're 2-2.
Yeah,
they are letting up a lot of leads.
They're giving
late.
up a lot of points.
Yeah.
They are just not looking like that stout defense you would expect from them.
And they've got another tough game coming up this Sunday night, which we'll get to. The Matt Rule, Baker Mayfield era looks like it's done in Carolina.
Boy, that's just ineptitude.
Cardinals win in Carolina 26-16. Rumor is that if they had a healthy backup, which they don't,
that they would have put them in.
Yeah, if your coach is thinking about benching you for Sam Darnold and then realizes, oh, that's right, Sam Darnold's hurt again,
then you've got issues. Problems.
Raiders finally come through for us.
Finally.
Beat the aforementioned inept
Broncos.
So good for the Raiders, but again, they've got a tough game coming up, so they're looking at 1-4. We mentioned the Bucs Chiefs. And we mentioned the 49ers Rams. Now, as Dave mentioned, we're going to have spillage as we have had every week since the NFL season started. We've got to start our NFL Week 5 picks. They will go over into segment 2 real quick.
Yep. Thursday night game. Colts go up to Mile High Stadium to play the Broncos, as we were just talking about a bit ago. Oh, my God. This was the flip of a coin.
Well, you're not alone with the Colts. Obviously, we've been talking about the Jonathan Taylor injury. Dave feeling regret, but Doug is with you. He is going.
That instills me with great confidence.
Yeah, I think Doug's last right now in our football pick standings.
He's trying to ride my coattails.
Like Dave said, as bad as this game looks, as much of a coin flip game as it looks, I got to go with the Broncos.
Just being at home.
At least they've got the receivers healthy, the quarterback healthy. Again,
they just can't play together. They
brought in a good backup running back to overcome the Javonte Williams injury. This is a team that will go on a slide eventually. They will end up losing 4 or 5 in a row at some point. I just don't think it starts this week.
The Colts should get on a run at some point.
I think if it wasn't going to be last week, that ship has sailed. I'm sorry. And I picked them to be in the AFC Championship. So the Eagles pick looks great.
The Colts
pick
not
looks
so
awful.
Good.
So that's going to do it for segment 1 here. Spill over to segment 2. We will cover the games on Sunday, October the 9th, and the Monday night game on the 10th. Hang out with us for just a little bit, a promo coming, and then Dave and I will be right back with more football.
And football. This episode of Sports Frenzy 2.0 is brought to you by the Bills Mafia Marital Aid Company, because when you are down and out, we'll bring you back up and in the game. Sports Frenzy 2.0 on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher. Welcome back to Sports Frenzy 2.0. I'm the Conquistador Dave Height.
And the maestro, Kevin Crane.
And it's football season. We're discussing NFL picks. And you know what that means? Yeah, spillage on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Amazon, Audible, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher! Also, check out our Facebook feed for said picks, posted weekly.
Hey, we are limited to 30 minutes a segment. And you know, when we start talking about the NFL, it's going to take longer than 30 minutes. This is why, heretofore, ergo, we have spillage. So let us resume with our picks this coming weekend, Sunday, October the 9th. Another London game. Yay! Yay! 9:30 morning football for Kev.
There you go.
I don't think this is going to be much of a game. We've already talked about the quarterback injury issues for the Giants, even though they are 3-1 going against the Packers. Packers are the last team, I heard, to play in London. So now,
really, now that everybody has finally cycled through.
As of this Sunday, yes, everybody will have cycled through and played at least one game in London. That being said, I'm still not impressed with the Green Bay Packers.
No, nobody is at this point. But somehow they find a way to win.
And I'm not giving credit to the lateral thinker.
No.
The hippy-dippy,
dope
chugging, oil smearing up his nose asswipe that is Aaron Rodgers.
So, our 7 picks so far, Packers up until you get to Doug, going with the hapless Giants.
Again, I don't think they're hapless. I think they got the right coach, but that roster just needs to be overturned. Kenny Golladay was an awful pick. I mean,
he just doesn't show up.
That pick, dare I say it, that signing, worse than any of the free agent wide receivers the Bears have signed in the last 10 years. At least Allen Robinson played well for us. Muhsin Muhammad played well for us. You know, Kenny Golladay has not done jack shit for the Giants in his second year now.
No, hey, I've always thought of him as one of those overrated guys.
Yeah.
Even when he was supposedly in his prime.
Matthew Stafford made him look good in Detroit.
Yeah. And that's a lot of garbage time when nobody cared on defense.
Exactly. So as Dave said, Giants for only Doug, Packers for everybody else.
Yep. Chargers coming from San Diego, going into Cleveland.
Not San Diego.
Sorry. From Los Angeles.
Dude, you know, I will still think of them only as a San Diego Chargers for the next decade.
From Los Angeles to Cleveland to take on the Browns. Oh, God.
I'm shocked by your pick. I am shocked by your pick. I'm actually shocked because you and Bill and Doug all going with the Cleveland Browns. I know Joey Bosa's out for the rest of the year. Most of the year.
Yeah, I have not liked the way that Chargers team has played.
And what did I tell you at the beginning of the season?
That it was their coach that would be the downfall.
And I'm telling you, they will not hesitate to fire Brandon Staley after this year, 2 years in, if they think they can get a Sean Payton to come in and take this team over. Because number one, they're competing against the Rams.
Yep.
And number two, you cannot let that window close on the talent you've got. Khalil Mack is starting to get up there in years. Yeah. You've lost Bosa this year. Now, Justin Herbert, you just can't waste him. You can't waste him.
You can't, but they are.
I can't. I look across the field. I'm looking as a Charger across the field, and I see Jacoby Brissett. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, I can't let Jacoby Brissett, as well as he's played this year, beat me when I have Justin Herbert.
It's going to be
Eckler
defense.
Eckler and Chubb kind of cancel each other out.
It's going to be defense. And the Browns' defense at home will be better than the Chargers on the road.
I don't see how you can say that. Myles Garrett's still recovering from that single car accident.
I just don't have any faith in the Chargers coming across country.
We're almost split right now. 7 of our 8 experts' picks are in. We've only got 4 Chargers and 3 Browns. So it's close to being split, which shocked me. I mean, this was an easy pick for me.
It was easy for me to go with the Browns.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's one of those crazy games.
Yeah. All right.
Here we go. Now we get a run.
Battle of the basement.
These next 3 games, I went a little crazy. I think I might have been, indulging in some kind of psychotropic drug, like our favorite quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, because I went, screw it. I'm going with the upsets for the next 3 games.
But I'm with you on one of them. This first one, we are both taking the Lions on the road against the Patriots.
At some point, this mojo that Dan Campbell has built with this team is going to kick in.
It has to transfer over to the defense. Exactly. That offense is humming. The defense has got to step it up. And it should happen against the Patriots.
I don't think, despite the fact they played their guts out against the Packers with a third-string quarterback and put that game into overtime, I give them credit for that.
But it's not a good Packers team.
Great coaching for the Patriots. They've got the edge there, obviously. But otherwise, this is not a good Patriots team, in my opinion. And I got to believe the Lions' talented offense will win out here. Even on the road, even outdoors.
Yep.
You and I go with the Lions. Bill is with us, the Big Blue W.
As is Aaron. The elder statesman, Lions fan that he is going with the Patriots. He just doesn't have any faith in his team.
And, of course, Nick and Doug are also going with New England.
Yep.
Seahawks at Saints. Ugh. What the hell is everybody on the Saints bandwagon for?
Because I still can't buy into the Seahawks.
They are looking better than I thought they would.
They are, but
this again comes down to coaching. Now, I'm going the oppo on this. Whereas before, with the Lions Patriots, I said, okay, I go against the good coach. I go against the GOAT. I go against Belichick. Here, I'm going with Pete Carroll.
Carroll screwed me the last
Allen.
Time we picked him.
He screwed you. He didn't screw me. I seem to recall I got that pick. And again, I'm going with Pete Carroll. Geno Smith is running a competent offense. He's still got 2 fantastic receivers. Rashad Penny is starting to look good.
It wouldn't surprise me if they won it, but
I don't know what you're getting out of the Saints. They played well. They played hard.
Geno Smith is going to Geno himself.
Oh, and Jameis Winston isn't going to Jameis himself, or Andy Dalton isn't going to red rifle all over the front of his pants. Or Taysom Hill isn't going to taste some of his own medicine. I don't know.
You're stretching it now.
I just don't trust the Saints. You don't know. Kamara was out last week. Michael Thomas can never be counted on.
Neither team is worth a bucket of spit.
Oh, neither one's going to the playoffs. Neither one. But I just think right now the Seahawks are playing with a little more guts, a little more heart. I go with the Seahawks.
Good for you.
Oh, boy, Doug's with me.
Doug's with you,
so
is Aaron, which is better.
A little bit of validation. And, of course, you're going with the Saints. So is Sam. So is the Big Blue W. And so is Nick.
All right.
Dolphins at Jets. Here we go again.
You and Bill.
I like the way the Jets are coming back late in the game, especially now with Wilson last week. I don't trust Teddy Bridgewater. Great, competent backup quarterback. I don't trust him in the bright lights, in the spotlight. He threw that big pick when they were coming back against the Bengals.
Did not make a good decision there. We'll see if a week...
They have not established a running game.
They never establish a running game. Come on.
Is Waddle going to get any kind of looks now that his boy Tua's not playing? Because you saw how the balance of the looks, the targets went. Tyreek Hill, that's Teddy Bridgewater looking at Tyreek Hill every play.
Can't do that.
He did not look at all at Jalen Waddle.
No.
They
and you have got to
Mike
find the
Gesicki
balance.
Somehow Mike Gesicki is out of this offense completely.
There's no reason. He should be featured because you cannot be looking downfield every damn time. And that could be the downfall. We'll see if the great and glorious new head coach can somehow smoke his way into something here.
Once again, like Dave said, Bill and I take the Jets, everybody else so far with the Dolphins. Titans at Commanders. Titans are starting to turn things around.
They're starting to look a little bit better going into Washington, which it's still hard to fathom that they're going to do anything. Aaron's the only one who seems to think they are with our 7 picks.
Yeah, Aaron's taking the Commanders. Everybody else, as Bill would say, are taking the tits.
Yep.
I will say this. I think it's pretty much consensus that Matt Rule will be the first head coach fired in Carolina. I think Ron Rivera is going to be asked to
step aside,
resign. I don't think they'll fire him.
No, they'll ask him to step away.
Yeah. I think they'll let him coach the rest of the year, maybe. But boy, this has got to be the final chance for Carson Wentz.
It has to be. This is just an absolute disaster. The way he started out on fire in the first week, 2 weeks, he was looking pretty good.
They came back and beat the Jaguars.
Yeah. And just not a good thing.
Yep.
So bad.
All right, moving on. Cowboys at the Rams. Dr. Dave and I told you medical prognosis was stupid for Jerry Jones to say Dak Prescott's going to be back. They should have put him on the IR and had that roster spot for 4 weeks. No, he'll be back. And rumors are early this week, Dak could play against the Rams. Guess what? He's can't grip a ball yet.
You dumbass.
So Cooper Rush, who's been playing very well, gets another shot against a Rams team that I think is going to be angry, pissed off, mad beyond belief after getting humiliated on Monday Night Football.
They have shown that they can't play against a decent defense.
And the Cowboys do have a good defense. You're right.
And that's why I'm taking the Cowboys. Because Stafford has looked absolutely helpless back there. Like he doesn't know what the hell he's doing except throw the ball to Kupp.
Isn't it amazing how losing a 40-year-old tackle like Andrew Whitworth has basically decimated that offensive line?
That's sad.
Yeah.
In all respects.
Well, you're not alone because Nick and Aaron are with you. I've got Doug, Bill, and Sam on my side with the Rams. I know it's a short week, but
they should be
very
pissed,
short trip. I mean, it's not like they're going to be on the road coming back from San Francisco for days and days.
Right. No, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. The Rams just do look completely out of sorts right now. All right. Eagles going south to Arizona to take on the Cardinals.
Flying south for the winter?
Yes. Yes, they are. It's the battle of the birds, kids.
And guess what? Nobody has any faith in the Arizona Cardinals.
Nope. Eagles across the board.
At some point, the Eagles will lose.
They will, but not to Kyler Murray.
No. Now, they are getting, I believe they're getting DeAndre Hopkins back this week, if I'm not mistaken. 4-game suspension should be over.
Should be over.
I think it was 4, right? It wasn't 6. So we'll see. But either way, I still think. But
still, is he going to do anything?
Right. He's going to take time for him to knock the rust off. Big game Sunday night. Bengals at the Ravens, both 2-2. Both have been up and down this year. The Bengals have been very scattershot, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Now, last week, finally, the offensive line showed up, kept Miami out of the backfield, kept Miami out of Joe Burrow's face, but still Joe Burrow didn't look quite sharp.
Not quite. He didn't know what to do. He wasn't getting pressure.
Yeah.
He wasn't scrambling for his life.
And Lamar Jackson has been putting up MVP-like stats, but you alluded to this in the last
The
segment.
Ravens defense gives up a lot of points.
Well, they lost Wink Martindale. He went over and out of the Giants.
Yep.
As the Bears saw, blitz, 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 blitz.
Yeah.
Even Giants fans were like, okay, we can back off on the blitz a little bit.
Hold off. Let's give our guys a little breather here.
But like you said, now the Ravens defense now looks a little more milquetoast, a little more ordinary without that aggressiveness. So does that play into the hands of Joe Burrow and the Bengals, or does Lamar Jackson put up enough points at home to lead the Ravens to victory? And again, you and I are Oppo.
We're Oppo again.
Yep. You and Sam and Bill are taking the Bengals, whereas I have got Nick and Aaron and Doug on my side with the Ravens.
Yep. It'll be an interesting game.
Yep. Very good game on Sunday night. The Monday night game, who knows?
God. It should be a damn good game. It probably will be a good game.
Because the Raiders always give the Chiefs trouble.
Yep, but it's in Kansas City. That's why everybody's taking the Chiefs across the board.
Yep. Now the Raiders are one of those teams that I look at and say, now you got to prove it to me.
Yeah.
You got to prove it to me. I thought you were going to be better than this. Now you got to prove it to me. Until you do, I'm going with the better team.
Yeah, they do not have the coach right now. The Raiders.
No. Josh McDaniels looks like he should never have gotten that second chance.
No. Nope.
All right, moving on to college football. Looking back at week 5 in the NCAA ranks.
There's not a hell of a lot of news to talk about.
Well, Notre Dame was off. Miami was off.
Pat Chris got fired from Wisconsin.
Paul Chris,
yeah.
And let's feel bad for Paul Chris. He got a reduced buyout of only $11 million.
Instead of the 14? Whoop-de-frickin-do. Still too much damn money.
And of course, the polls, you love how the polls are so schizophrenic where if Alabama or Georgia stumble just a little bit, not lose, but just don't
have a little
play sharp enough.
Then
Georgia struggled a little bit last week, so what happens? Alabama jumps them.
Because these voters are idiots.
So Alabama's back to the number 1 slot with Georgia down to number 2. As Dave said, not much else going on beyond that. Now looking at last week's games, Dave and I, of course, showing the brilliance that we have when it comes to picking. We're the only ones to take Tulane over Houston. That, of course, happened.
Yep.
You
Liberty came through for us.
You had a great pick with UCLA beating Washington on Friday night.
That was one of the ones that came through for me.
Coming up here in a minute. Lane Kiffin came through for Mississippi, beating number 7 Kentucky.
Yep, Oklahoma shit the bed big time at TCU.
Yeah, we all missed that
all
one.
of us.
We all missed that one. Oklahoma State, my man.
Yep, the mullet came through.
50-year-old man, the mullet came through, much to your chagrin, as he beat Baylor. But
and F Iowa State.
No, not yet. Not yet. We've got our picks coming here for this week. We're not effing Iowa State quite yet. Because now we get into the picks for NCAA Week 6.
Iowa State.
They've turned into one of those polarizing teams this year.
Week to week, they will be polarizing.
Friday, October the 7th, big game out west. UNLV coming up soon here, facing the Notre Dame Fighting Irish here locally.
Yep.
Going in to play San Jose State.
Nick takes UNLV. The rest of us, San Jose State.
I still can't think of UNLV as a football program.
I know. The Runnin' Rebs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know San Jose State is pretty solid, so point spread is 7. Can't argue with that.
Yep. My Island pick of the week.
And it's also
the Dave Vizik game of the week.
Saturday, October the 8th. Not at night. like LSU would be used to playing a big SEC game. They are playing early at noon on Saturday. Number 8 Tennessee goes in to play number 25 LSU. Dave, I gotta say something before we do the island pick. I know you want. I heard some commentator on a college football show the other day actually say Brian Kelly is one of the best coaches of this generation.
Really?
It's like, what?
Wow.
What?
Wow.
That either says how sorry the state of coaching is in big-time college football.
If you look, he had the only pretty much non-ACC SEC team to consistently get in outside of Ohio State from the Big Ten when he was at Notre Dame.
See, I think it's an indictment on how
bad the coaching is.
There are.
Yeah. But Tennessee, they're still up and coming. I don't know if I trust them going into playing at LSU down at Baton Rouge.
But you trust the man of 1,000 accents.
That's right.
It's
at home. It's at home.
I would be lying. I would be lying if I did not think I had a little bit of hesitation in making this pick for the same reasons that you're bringing up. But Josh Heupel, new blood coaching this Tennessee team. They seem like they're a little bit more enthusiastic, a little more dynamic. Everybody but you taking the Vols.
Yep. We'll see if this island pick works out like my UCLA pick did last week.
All right. Number 17, TCU. We just talked about them kicking Oklahoma's ass. Goes into play the surprising number 19 Kansas Jayhawks. And I think this is where the love fest for the Jayhawks ends.
Yep, it's TCU for everybody except for Doug at this point, who's going Jayhawk.
Just like with UNLV a few minutes ago, hard to think about Kansas as a football team.
It is. It's
as a
difficult.
Football program. Arkansas, they had their chance. They were ranked highly a few weeks ago. Then they crapped the bed a couple times.
Yep, 2-game skid going into playing a decent Mississippi State team.
Number 23, Mississippi State, our man, the Pirate.
Yep.
Mike Leach.
Across the board for Mississippi State.
2 underperforming teams in the Big 12, Texas at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's defense, ironically, because they just brought in Clemson's defensive coordinator as their new head coach,
has looked abysmal.
Looks like a sieve. I will give Sark the benefit of the doubt here. His team has looked a little bit better than Oklahoma, so I will go with the Longhorns.
As does everybody except for me and Doug. I am playing the bounce back game for Oklahoma at home.
Only thing that worries me, and again, just like LSU, I hesitated. Injury concerns with the starting quarterback, concussion concerns.
Maybe they need the change.
Purdue at Maryland.
Purdue is...
Big win recently here, beating Minnesota. Maryland played Michigan tough a few weeks ago.
Took out Michigan State.
Aaron and Nick are going with the Boilermakers. Everybody else goes with the Terrapins.
Yep. Turtle power.
I just think their offense is a little bit better, and they're at home.
Yep.
Big game out of the Pac-12. Number 11, Utah at Dave's new favorite team. Number 18, UCLA and Chip Kelly.
Yep. That being said, it's Utah across the board.
I thought for sure you would go.
I do not just bite to bite.
Utah after losing to the Gators.
You thought I was going to take Washington, and I took UCLA.
That is true. Utah's looked a lot better since losing that opening week game to Florida in the Swamp. So as Dave said, Utah for everyone. North Carolina at the pathetic. Wait. We're talking about the Hurricanes. Got to open another beer. Got to drown my sorrows for the pathetic, awful Mario Cristobal-led Miami Hurricanes.
You were high on them for the first little bit, and then they let you down like they've been known to do of recent vintage.
Yep. Same story every year. Meet the new team, same as the old team.
Meet the new coach, same as the old coach.
My apologies to Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend for co-opting their lyrics. I'm going against them. I'm going with the Tar Heels. Like the Tar Heels offense, I think they outscore the Hurricanes.
Yep, I agree with you. Most everybody does, except for the elder statesman and Aaron. They are going with the Hurricanes.
It is a home game, but doesn't
Come
matter.
on, it doesn't matter with them at this point. All right. Big game of the week locally. It is the Shamrock Series, Notre Dame home game taking place out in Las Vegas. They are taking on number 16 BYU. A little hesitation here. I don't know really what to expect with BYU. Notre Dame has turned it around with Pine at quarterback. They're looking a little more stable, like they're finding their way.
I agree. And of course, if anything happens that would go against Notre Dame, the referees will make it right. Of course, because it is in Las Vegas. So
that's right. Odds on.
Right now, Notre Dame is favored by roughly a field goal. So they'll make sure that Notre Dame wins by at least a field goal.
Yep.
They love that push.
They love the push. So Bill has BYU, everybody else Notre Dame.
Yeah, a few weeks ago I might have gone with BYU. But yeah, like you said, they've been a little bit more inconsistent here recently than I would like. Whereas Notre Dame is gaining momentum and they have God and the cheating referees on their side. So you've got it's not the Catholics versus the convicts, it's the Catholics versus the racists.
The Catholics
we gotta make t-shirts.
Mormons.
We gotta make t-shirts.
Catholics versus Mormons.
Catholics versus racists. We don't believe that, BYU.
No, we do not.
No, that's Dawn Staley and her ilk.
All right.
What were you saying about Iowa State, Dave?
F Iowa State.
Number 20, Kansas State, going into play Iowa State, who have lost a lot of tough, close games here recently. I believe this is the last shot I'm giving Iowa State. They have got a stellar run defense. That is Kansas State's bread and butter. This is it. I've heard so many great things about their head coach. He could end up going to the pros. He could end up going to a program. Last chance for Iowa State. I'm going with Iowa State.
Obviously, I'm taking Kansas State.
The Big Blue W is with me.
Everybody else is with me.
There you go. Finally, the Florida State Seminoles go into play number 14, North Carolina State.
The Florida State run is over.
Yeah, and I'm kind of shocked the point spread on this was as low as it is. As I put these picks together, it's 3.5. Florida State
crazy.
Looked good the first week or two. Have not shown anything since. At least NC State's still showing some life.
Yeah, their defense is still good.
None of us are buying into Florida State anymore. We're done with them.
Done
again.
FFSU.
That is right. Everybody taking the Wolfpack of NC State. And that will do it for our football picks.
Yep, segment 2 is a wrap. Check out the Facebook page to see all the picks you may have missed, or just to refresh your memories as you watch the games.
Or, of course, if you want to go bet and use our wisdom and influence to help make you money, that's fine. We do not condone betting. And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Although I don't know if that's the number in Indiana, because every state has a different number for their gambling hotline. So let's just put it this way. Sports Frenzy does not condone gambling unless you want to do it. There you go.
There you go.
All right, Dave and I are coming back with historic moments in baseball as the season wraps up.
We got a hodgepodge with NASCAR, a little bit of golf.
Only one dumbass this week, which Dave has got for you.
Oh, I've got 2, actually.
Oh, Dave's surprising me. I don't have any.
Wow. All right.
I
I have the dumbasses this week.
That's right. So stay tuned, kids. After a quick promo, segment 3 is up next. Feeling mildly fatigued? Need a day off even if you just took one a few days ago? Make $30 million a year but just don't want to work for it? You need to join the NBA Load Management Club right now. When they're not napping or texting, guest lecturers Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving will describe foolproof ways to earn tens of thousands of dollars by not doing anything. Sports Frenzy 2.0, available on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, is currently negotiating with LeBron James to bring his popular How to Make the Hall of Fame Without Really Trying webinar live and in person to the Load Management Club. Thanks again to Sports Frenzy 2.0 and all you apathetic fans out there for making us a success. All right, kids, segment 3 here, Sports Frenzy 2.0, taping on October the 5th, 2022. I am the maestro, Kevin Crane.
I'm the conquistador, Dave Height, and baseball season wraps up here as we tape this. Blissful end to the piss-poor season for the Chicago White Sox. Of course, they lose 10-1 to the Twins, finishing at 81-81.
Couldn't even give you a winning record.
Couldn't even get a winning record. Those underperforming, overpaid bastards.
Finishing in a distant second place behind the Cleveland Guardians.
11 games back behind the upstart Guardians, who had the best manager in that division, hands down.
Speaking of managers,
thank God Tony La Russa has retired, stepped away. Hate that it's because of health issues, but he had to be gone. There was just no chemistry between him and that team.
Now, you as the White Sox insider here on Sports Frenzy, any early indications, anything you've heard from Chicago sports radio
There's
about
a
rumblings?
Number of guys, Jesse Rogers, their beat guy, has put together a list. Of course, Miguel Cairo, the interim manager, will get an interview. I don't think that's going to pan out. But some names mentioned: Davey Martinez, maybe out in Washington, possible lure away. I don't know. Sandy Alomar Jr., Cleveland's bench first base coach, spent time there. Joe Espada, the Astros bench coach. This intrigues me because the Astros know what the hell they're doing. They're consistent, the best team in the AL again. Now, there's rumblings he may be heir apparent for Dusty in Houston, but if the Sox can get him now with this team, I like it. He knows how to build a winning organization and how the game today is played. Then you have supposedly an up-and-comer with Will Venable, Boston's bench coach, Pedro Griffel, Royals bench coach. Don Mattingly's been mentioned. I don't know why. And then the outside dark horse with a big hell to the effing no. Do not even talk to Joe Madden. Others have mentioned it. No. Hell to the effing no. I would rather see Rick Renteria come back.
Oh, man, I didn't think I'd be able to pull up my diabolical Halloween laugh so early.
So,
now, I love you. You're my brother from another mother.
This would be the second coming of La Russa with that bullshit.
I would love to see you suffer through Joe Madden.
I've had La Russa. It's bad enough.
I'll tell you the one that you mentioned on that list that intrigues me. I don't know what his contract status is. Davey Martinez would not be bad.
Wouldn't be.
Because he's probably frustrated with the Nationals, how they let Juan Soto go. He probably doesn't want to be there anymore, and I don't think anybody, the fan base, would blame him for wanting out.
Yeah.
But would they let him out of the contract? Would he have to actually sit out if he quit the remainder of the deal?
We'll have to see. But
that's
Martinez
the only name I hear on that list that's intriguing. And like you said, the Astros.
Espada might be that
but
next.
Again, if they, like you said, if they promise him to be the heir apparent.
Well, they don't know if it is. It was just, is he? If there's speculation.
But Dusty doesn't have that much longer to go. He's doing a great job.
Yeah.
He really
But
is.
We'll have to see. Now, no mention of bringing Ozzie back.
Move on from him. I know you love him. Move on from him.
So there we go.
Honestly, that was catching lightning in a bottle. I've never been a big fan of his. I know you love him. He got you a World Series, just like Joe Madden with me. It's the same thing. You look at it that way, it's the same thing. Ozzie got that team
to win despite Kenny Williams bringing Carl fucking Everett back again, decimating the farm system a second time.
I would expect you to laugh hysterically at me if Ozzie Guillen was mentioned to be the head coach or the manager of the Cubs.
I would laugh because there's no way in hell he would do that.
I wouldn't want him. I'd rather have Joe Madden back.
There you go.
All right, history.
This
is what you get every year at the end of the season, of course. Records being shattered, broken. Or were they?
They were not. I'm sorry.
I was going to ask you this. How do you feel about Aaron Judge hitting his 62nd home run last night in Texas, becoming the American League all-time single-season home run king?
He is the American League single-season home run king.
But is he the true all-time Major League Baseball single-season home run king?
No, it still has to be Barry Bonds. Because Major League Baseball allowed all that to happen. They relished it. They lived it. And you know what? I'm getting to the point where you have to put these guys in the hall. Because the whole double standard thing, the more you think about it, baseball in that home run race, MLB embraced those guys to no end. They celebrated the hell out of it. There were the rumblings that they were taking the stuff, and they didn't care until after they were done.
And let's look at it this way, too. I agree with you completely, by the way.
As much as I hate those guys for doing it.
Yeah, and this is why I don't think anybody really outside of New York got all that much excited about Aaron Judge. Number one, because for some reason New York thinks everybody loves the Yankees when only they do.
Yeah, that about wraps it up.
But number two, I think begrudgingly, most sports fans out there say, you got away with it. You hit 73, even though we know you were taking something. You were on the cream. You were on the clear. We begrudgingly have to admit that Barry Bonds is still the home run king, even though most of us would like to see the asterisk.
Yeah.
Now, here's my part two question to this. Okay, so Aaron Judge, 62 home runs. I don't know what he did today in terms of his stats overall. I think he fell short of the Triple Crown.
He did not get the batting average. That went to Reyes,
the kid from the Twins.
Yes.
So, here's my question. And I know this is going to piss off a lot of baseball purists and a lot of New York sports fans just for me asking this, daring to ask this, but of course Shohei Ohtani just got a $30 million deal with the Angels for next year. Given the fact that Shohei Ohtani won 15 games as a pitcher and put up monster numbers as a hitter, Aaron Judge doesn't get the Triple Crown. Who's the MVP?
You know what the baseball writers are going to do. They're going to kiss Yankee ass.
I think they will, but I think you'll be shocked at how close it is.
Ohtani should get it again for
now,
doing what he does.
is, and I buy into this argument, To me personally, I would say Ohtani. Again, I knew I was going to piss everybody off out there. But the argument that the Yankees would not be 99-win team without Aaron Judge and in the playoffs is valid.
It is
Whereas
valid.
the Angels would suck ass
even worse
with or without Ohtani. And it still boggles my mind to this day how the Angels, with Ohtani and with Trout, suck as bad as they do year in and year out. Amazing to me.
I know. You have those.
But Ohtani does two things. He basically is two players in one.
Yep. I mean, my God, they finished 33 games behind the Astros at 73 and 89.
I know. Then we've got to talk about a guy who I am starting to root for him to come back next year, and that's Albert Pujols.
My God, the resurrection in his career. And
703 now, his home run count, last I checked, as of October the 3rd. He passed Babe Ruth on the RBI list. This is why I'm wondering if he wouldn't come back. Again, don't have updated stats through today, but 2,216 RBIs, second all time, passing Babe Ruth. Hank Aaron, number one, 2,297.
Oof, he is
Does
within.
he come back? Oof. The way he played this year.
As a DH?
And, of course, you can be a DH in the National League now.
Yes.
So he can come back with the Cardinals.
He can stay there.
That's
very intriguing.
I would not call him a hypocrite or hate him if he came back.
I wouldn't either. I mean, you have a chance.
Do you want to risk embarrassing yourself? He has gone out on a high note. If he goes out this year, this has been a tremendous final year for him.
Oh, hands down.
This is like a John Elway, Peyton Manning type of send-off.
Yeah. Do you want to risk it to be the all-time RBI leader? It's within
some time to
reach.
Think about it.
It's within reach.
Yep. A mediocre season.
And he's got it.
Yep. All right.
But it depends. What do the Cardinals have on the young guys?
Oh, I think they'd bring him back. He wouldn't want that much money.
No.
I think no. All right. So the baseball playoffs are set, of course, with the new format. On the American League side, the Astros, Yankees get byes. Starting Friday, the Mariners go into Toronto to play the Blue Jays. The Tampa Bay Rays in Cleveland to play the Guardians. National League, Dodgers, Braves get the bye. The Mets swept last weekend by the Braves, letting them have the division that they had owned most of the regular season.
Yep.
Ha ha, ha ha, Mets fans.
They wound up in a tie, but because the Braves won the head-to-head matchups.
That Sunday night game was the one.
Yep.
That final game of the sweep. That's the tiebreaker.
So suck it, Mets.
They play the Padres at Citi Field this weekend. Phillies go into St. Louis to play the Cardinals. Of course, now the setup is those four series starting Friday are best of three, all three games played at the home field of the higher seed.
Yep.
So an interesting new year.
Yeah.
An interesting new twist to the baseball playoffs. Don't hate it. It's kind of interesting.
I like it. It's better than the one and done, and it moves the series along where you don't have to deal with the damn travel.
There you go.
And if you want to be at home, play better during the regular season.
There you go. Shall we move on to NASCAR?
I think we should.
All right. Last weekend was Talladega. It was not, in terms of the cup racing at least, the all-out disaster that you would normally expect. We didn't really have the big one. I will get to that in a minute. We've talked about concussions in the NFL. Now, of course, we've got another concussion situation with Alex Bowman. We've already had Kurt Busch sitting out pretty much 2 months here.
Yeah. The drivers are starting to speak out about this next-gen car. They are pissed that safety is going backwards. More drivers are getting dinged up than they have in a long time because in an effort to build a car that would be easier to repair, it's too rigid.
It's more cost efficient.
More cost effective. Bullshit. You're putting your drivers at more risk because the other cars used to crumple and absorb the energy through the frame. The next gen car is so damn rigid, especially in the back end. The drivers are absorbing all the punishment and they are beat up. And it's about damn time the drivers are speaking out about it.
So Alex Bowman is now out of the playoffs effectively because, of course, you can't transfer the points from one driver to another.
Right.
We've already seen Kurt Busch right before the playoffs drop out, ironically allowing Ryan Blaney to get in, and now Ryan Blaney is very high up in the standings. Probably will make it to at least the next cutoff.
Yeah. Very
Something
interesting.
to think about. Now, when I say in the Cup Series, the racing at Talladega this past weekend was clean. In the Truck Series, it was not. There was a scary wreck with Jordan Anderson. Second-degree burns over a lot of his upper torso.
Yeah. He's lucky that wasn't worse.
And he got out of the hospital fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So thank goodness for that. The Talladega race, okay, I have a rant. I have something.
I did not get to see it because I had to work.
Well, I will explain my situation to you, my complaint. It wouldn't help me in our competition or my pick, but it might have helped you get a win. Here's where I explain my complaint. Of course, Christopher Bell had the pole. Doesn't matter at a super speedway.
Right. All bets are off in the draft.
It was a pretty tame race throughout. Okay, there was an incident. Again, Kyle Busch involved.
There's
Shocking.
A shock.
What else is new? We get down to the nitty-gritty at the end of the third stage. Ryan Blaney, Dave's pick from last week, along with our leader, Aaron, in our Frenzy Cup competition. Their car, great pick, up there at the front, looking good. You get about 3 or 4 laps to go, maybe 5, I can't remember specifically, but it ended up leading to a green-white checkered shootout.
Of course it did.
They throw the caution leading to the green-white checkered because Daniel Hemrick was stalled out in his pits.
Oh, come on!
In his pit stall, he stalled out. They threw the caution to
bullshit.
Reset the field.
No, bullshit.
And nobody is saying anything about this. Nobody's calling bullshit. I'm watching the race screaming and yelling, going, how the hell is that a caution? Are you going to start doing cautions when people pit under green flag conditions?
That is absolute
because
crap.
It's just as much of a safety hazard. He's in the pits in his stall.
Yeah, that is absolute garbage. That never should have been thrown.
So that killed all the momentum of the racing you had.
That
it helped
is a
everybody
joke.
Get bunched up again, and that leads to Chase Elliott winning at Talladega.
Absolute crap that they pulled something
I
like
want
that.
somebody to explain to me. I don't want the corporate
bullshit.
I don't want the NBC bullshit or the USA, whatever you want to say. It's the NBC crew on USA or wherever they're calling the race from. Giving me corporate speak.
No.
That is not a safety hazard, Steve Letarte. I'm sorry, it's not. He's in his pits.
What difference does it make if the car would have been shut down and they were making repairs during their little 5 or 6 minute window?
Again, I will say, then what's the difference when they're pitting under green flag conditions?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
There is none.
There should never have been a caution thrown at this point.
That is
I don't know if they're trying to
bullshit.
avoid more issues with injuries. They didn't want the big one.
That's still, you would have caused the big one more so with bunching them back up with the restart.
No, I'll tell you why. Normally, if there were 15 laps to go, 10 laps to go, I'd agree. Green, white, checkered, they're going to have to go one lap around completely to get back up to speed. You know this at a super speedway. So I think the odds of it happening are less. That only really is one lap at full speed where you could have any kind of an incident.
But it's usually when they're getting up to speed, when they're jockeying, that causes the problems.
I want somebody to explain to me. Drop a line on the Facebook page. Drop a comment here on our podcast page. Somebody explain to me how justifiably this was a caution and how this should have changed the entire complexity of the outcome of the race. Because it's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit.
It's typical NASCAR playing by their own set of rules. They make it up as they go along. All right. New drivers coming in. AJ Allmendinger going to be back full-time in the Cup Series, running for K-Lig, whatever you want to call it, racing in the number 16 car. And on the Xfinity side, what you've been waiting for, Haley Deegan going full-time Xfinity.
Yeah!
Oh, actually, no, sorry, not full-time. Sorry. She's making her debut at Vegas this year.
Why would you do that to me?
Why would you
do that to me? I was getting ready
just so I could see the roller coaster of emotions.
To start recording Xfinity races next year.
Yeah, nope, she's making her debut at Vegas.
Well, I'll have to set it for that at least.
There you go. Hopefully it will lead to a full-time Xfinity ride.
The next Feature X Mrs. Train.
Woo! All right. Moving on.
Race 32 coming up this weekend, October the 9th, 2022. The Bank of America 400 at the Charlotte Roval.
Roval.
Of course, Dave is in second place in our Frenzy Cup competition, trailing Aaron by 23 points.
This will be the last time I play Follow the Leader.
I was going to say, last week you played Follow the Leader with Ryan Blaney. It actually worked out well for you guys. I wish I'd done it. I didn't, and I paid the price. But, of course, the obvious pick at any road course in NASCAR Cup is Chase Elliott.
Especially the Roval.
So Dave, Aaron, and Doug are taking Chase Elliott.
Yep. This will be the last week I play Follow the Leader. There will be 4 to go. Trying to squeak out ahead of everybody else, staying close enough to be able to make a move to jump.
He's staying in Aaron's draft until
That's
the
right.
last possible
I'm waiting to make the drafting pass.
Bill is taking William Byron, and Mrs. C and I are both going with Tyler Reddick. Doesn't have anything to really race for, but he's already won a race.
Yep.
After being eliminated from competition, so why not here on
what the hell,
a road course where he is phenomenal? So I got nothing to lose.
That's right.
I'm 7th place. 8th place is Sam. He's quit, so I can't go any.
You can't go any lower.
Yes. All right. Just to mention it, NBA, NHL, both in preseason right now. I do want to say I have actually decided to buy an NBA jersey.
What?
There is a guy over in France. He's a power forward. He's been a professional over in France.
Is his last name Crane?
Better. He's been a professional since 2008. His first name is Steve.
Last name Daytona?
No. Better. You're going to love this. And this is his real name. His last name is Ho You Fat. He was born in New Guinea.
Nice.
His name is Steve Ho You Fat.
All righty.
Ho You Fat is pretty much spelled exactly 3 words like you would expect.
Nice. There you go.
Of course, we do have to talk about Brett Favre. And of course,
do we have
the
to?
latest scandal involving that douchebag. Now it
It
comes
just-
out that he donated, quote unquote, $130,000 to Southern Mississippi through his charity. And that we're not talking about the COVID fund stuff.
This is additional.
Right. Right. Right.
Charities aren't supposed to give to institutions like that, are
Especially
they?
when his daughter is going there
And
playing
plays
sports
volleyball
there, yes.
in the stadium that he gave the money to. What a dipshit.
Of course, more will be coming on this. Finally, before we get into the moments of silence and the Red Foreman dumbasses, Live Golf made a very sly, very clever move here today.
This was brilliant.
They have allied themselves with the MENA Tour,
Yep.
MENA,
The
which-
Middle East North Africa Tour.
a little-known tour that actually will now allow them, now that all the Live Golf members are now members of the MENA Tour, they will be eligible for world golf ranking points.
Ha! Suck it, PGA.
I know. I don't care about the blood money thing. I'm rooting for Live Golf just because of the arrogance of Rory McIlroy and the PGA.
Yep.
If they'd handled this better, I wouldn't be so adamant about rooting for Live Golf.
Live golf, baby. Let it ride. Tee it high and let it fly.
All right, one moment of silence that I've got. Tragically, former Dallas Cowboys tight end Gavin Escobar and a companion died in a rock climbing incident in California. Gavin Escobar was only 31 years old.
Yeah, that's horrible news.
And
Feel for the
people
families.
wonder why I stay inside wrapped in bubble wrap.
All right. Oh, time to pivot. First dumbass, LeGarrette Blount, coach of a youth football team, got into a fight with other adults, throwing fisticuffs. Again, it's a kid's game, and these people are losing their minds and going absolutely stupid.
It's a very simple psychological problem when you feel you have to live your life through your children. That means you feel you failed.
Yeah.
And it's not healthy and it's not right.
It's just
you
bad
don't get
on
wrapped
all-
up in your children's achievements to that point where you fight and you scream and you curse and you yell when something doesn't go their way. That's not healthy. And God knows we're not Snowflake Nation here on Sports Frenzy.
That's right.
But we're also mature enough, despite the cursing and the swearing and the jokes about vibrating anal beads, that we don't condone that type of behavior and we look down on it.
That's right. Speaking of behavior also that we look down upon, the dumbass fan who ran out onto the field during the Rams-Niners game on Monday night. Not only is it dumbass for pulling that stunt, but now the stupid twit has filed a police report against Bobby Wagner for tackling him to stop him from his protest. The police department should have laughed his ass out of the station as they actually laughed their asses off, putting him in the cell for trespassing and putting the players at risk with that stupid pink smoke. The inhalation from that could have been detrimental to their health. And there were all Bobby Wagner was doing was a citizen's arrest, helping security stop somebody from doing what they shouldn't have been allowed to do. I applaud Bobby Wagner and I condemn this dumbass fan.
Definitely a dumbass. And what the police should have done is when he wanted to file the complaint, they should have told him or his lawyer, said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're defunded. We don't take complaints anymore."
That's right.
Because you and your stupid snowflake brethren don't seem to like us much, except when it benefits you.
Now Bobby Wagner should pull a counter report for the smoke that this guy brought onto the field. Because they ran right by him and they had to inhale that crap.
Anything that they could do to knock this guy down about 10 pegs and penalize him to the full extent of the law for running out on the field.
Stop the morons from getting onto the field.
And we're starting to see more and more of this. We talked about this last week with the protester at the tennis tournament who lit himself on fire accidentally.
Yeah, because the stupid-ass district attorneys will not prosecute. They let him go.
I think we're about 3 weeks away from Election Day.
I think we are.
Maybe people out there should start voting in some prosecutors and DAs who are, let's say, hard on crime.
That would be a lovely thing to see.
Anti-snowflake.
Anti-dumbass.
We're not anti-dumbass because
that's our bread and butter.
It's our favorite part of the show. And that will wrap up Sports Frenzy 2.0 for this week. Check out the weekend edition this coming Saturday morning.
We'll talk to you next week, kids.